Welcome into the very video edition. I'll be teaching you guys how to structure your mind to receive or manifest what you desire to have. You can structure your mind or convince your mind to believe when you don't really believe. Recently, when I was surfing on the internet, I was seeing people who were criticizing the act of assumptions, the act of brainwashing, and saying, even going to the point of making video that doesn't work. Well, I started with this because I want to structure your mind first, because this whole thing which I'm about to teach you in this very video here, this very universal laws, applying the universal laws, how to apply the law of assumptions, is not going to work if you don't concretely believe. When I mean concretely, when you pour a contact cement or a cement into water and pour a gravel to it, mix it with iron rod and turn it, and it gets set and dry. Give it some days and it solidifies. There is no any water that is in there. Every water inside has been completely dried out, and it will become very inseparable. That is what it is when you believe in certain things that people doesn't believe. You become inseparable with that very subject. You become inseparable with that very thoughts, that notion, that assumption of yours. And when you chisel your feelings into it concretely, you will start receiving unimaginable answers. You start getting a reality which a lot of people only dream to have in their lifetime. And before we start going further in structuring your mind to believe, I want you to understand that I'm not teaching you because I saw people teach you. I'm teaching you because this is something which I've applied in my life and it works. It works and works and works. And so, to begin with, I would love to say that it all starts and ends with you. Should you choose to believe it, it will manifest for you. It will work for you. And those who choose not to believe, it will never work for them. Now, this is how this life is. Nothing really existed. Nothing will take form until we conceive it in our mind. I want you to understand also that every part of your body does not work without some certain stimuli of your thought, your thinking. So before you do anything, you often think about it. And that is why it is structured on you restructuring your mind. I also like to highlight a little bit of Bible that talks about something like that, even though if you don't believe in the Bible, just like I don't believe, but you believe in God. Believing in God is one of the critical elements which you have to conceive in your heart. Just have it at the back of your mind that you didn't start existing out of nowhere or evolve from ape. No. The entire universe you see, the air, the water, the sea, the land, they are not made by human. It is made by God, including us. And so we are still connected to Him in some way. Some of us who actually go more deeper say this to our pineal gland. However, that's going to be a topic of another day. So structuring your mind to believe without having any doubt is what the Christian calls faith. And structuring your mind has many diverse effects, which connotes to this very topic which we're talking about here today. If you can be able to restructure your mind about anything and agree to a new belief which you conceive within yourself, your life will start automatically moving in that very direction. And once you stop, it will gradually start dying down. I have used this in diverse ways, not just only to make money, not just to attract customers, which I'm going to give you a brief of story, even at this very moment. So it all depends on how you decide to believe, how you decide to structure your mind. Those who structure their mind to have billions have billions. Those who structure their mind to have 6 figures make 6 figures. And those who structure their mind to make 10 figures make 10 figures. There are different layers of structuring your mind. But the most important thing is you believing without any doubt that it is possible, that you can do it, that it's all yours. Whatever you conceive out of your heart is yours. And this will start manifesting. And the Bible told you that do not be conformed to the standard of this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. It didn't say by the renewing of your hand. It didn't say by the renewing of your eyes. It said by the renewing of your mind. Why did it say because of your mind? Because your mind is the powerhouse that controls literally the reality that you now live, that you now believe. I want you to also reflect back a little bit and understand that 3-5 years ago, that you have thinked yourself into where you are today. Whether you're praying, whether you're going to school, any decision which you have ever made previously is the reality which you're living in. And therefore, if you agree with me, I don't know that decision which you made. Millions of you, thousands of you who are watching, who are listening to my voice right now, but it is your own secrecy. It is your own description. It is your unconceivable thought which you actually did. And it is manifesting today. And that is what you are living in the reality of. So the same way you can decide to restructure your mind, to either refuse to become poor, to refuse to be destitute, to refuse to be a failure, to refuse to being stagnant, to refuse to being just, being dormant, and become proactive, innovative, creative, enterprising, progressive, and advancing from grace to grace and not from grace to grass, and rise from grass to grace. This whole thing we're talking about is structuring the element of your mind to believe. Let me give you a very good sample here. Your mind has more power than any other tool you can ever think about in the world, my dear. Your mind is where the miracle, the magic that transforms anything about this life begins with. I want you to take a look around yourself, look around the whole universe, the whole world where you are. Go to TikTok and some others and see things that are happening. All these things, the device which you're watching this or listening to this very message from, is all conceived from a mind. Even if the person who invented it, or who even goes as much as to develop it further, to enhance it further, do astral projection or do some ritual, it's all started with a simple thought. So that is why I want you to understand the power of your mind, that you can use the same thought here that you're using to destroy yourself, to create failure, to create backwardness, to create lack, which I'm going to explain to you how you did all this directly and indirectly in this very video, in this very content. And you can sweep it, you can turn it, flip it the other way around, turn this table around, and it will become a positive thinking that will transform your lives for greater good and get you where you want to go at your own time and convenient. It is very, very important. This whole thing starts and ends with you. Now let me go into explaining to you how you make yourself, you brought upon a life of destitute, a life of poverty, a life of lack. Ask yourself, how many times have you been trying to build up a piggy bank? How many times have you been trying to make a savings? You are simply ridiculing yourself, recycling your own power into that small piggy bank. And you are simply telling yourself that you cannot vibrate above that piggy bank, that whatever is inside is what you can be able to do. And you are also restructuring your entire power as a supernatural being. I never told you that you are a supernatural being. You are God's. If you don't know that you are God's, I'm going to prove it to you, to tell you that you are not just only created in the image of God, you have the power of God with you. If a snake gave birth to a snake, it must have a tail, it must have venom. So if you are originated from God as a God descendant, you have element of God inside you, and it's up to you to use that power to manifest anything, to attract anything you want to restructure your entire framework of existence in the reality, and it will come into pass. I have used this countless of times, and I've used this in different numerous ways, which I'm going to be teaching you in another different video, because this today here is to give you a sample of how magical, how miraculous your mind is, and how powerful it is when you decide to conceive that very thought that this is mine. I can do this. I will never stop until I get this done. I will never stop until I make this mine. Those are powerful words. And I want also to tell you that out of the spoken words comes from a conceived thought, and those thoughts, they carry life. And these words, we speak life and death into things. So you can speak life unto yourself. You can speak prosperity unto yourself. You can speak abundance, life of abundance to yourself. And that is how you restructure your mind into becoming prosperous, how you restructure yourself into prosperity. That is why when you go to different churches today, Christianity will never thrive without a pastor or a priest telling you that you are more than a conqueror, that this year, that this month, you will possess your possession. Why did he make such declaration? Because he knows that there is a power in a spoken word. So why don't you, my friend, raise up your right hand and put it right on your head and talk all positivity into yourself. Speak success, speak prosperity into yourself. I want you to do this for 5 days. And if you want it so much, you can starve yourself and concentrate. Why I mean starve yourself of food is each time you starve yourself of food for a particular purpose. That is what the Christian calls fasting. You are raising your vibration more about any subject which you have made up your mind of. And that is what they teach you in Christian doctrine. When you starve yourself in a certain purpose for a certain cause, you have a higher vibration concerning that thing, and your chance of making it a reality is very, very extreme. But when you are filled, if you're belly filled, if you have eaten and you are so filled up, you will lose control of yourself and everything. Sleep and many things is what's going to be coming your way. I told you I'm going to be explaining to you how you create poverty. Now, the piggy bank is just one of them. What about your social group that you have that have decided in their own mindset? Some of this social group you are mingling with, their fathers might be a billionaire, a millionaire, and all they have been taught is to lavish their life because that wealth is already there from their father passed to their own generation. And these people have no positive mindset. They have no really positive mindset of activating the thoughts they have inside their mind, except going to dip hand into their father's wallet and come and spend extravagantly. And therefore, when you follow these people, you end up becoming a waste to yourself. You're becoming destitute to yourself because you'll be seeing the digital displays, the visual displays, but you will never get your hands on them. You will end up being a wishful thinker. That is not what you want to do. So what you do in such situation, you cut them off. You want to align yourself with the same positive mindset of people who want to be in that stratosphere where you want to be, who want to be in that higher realm where you want to be, who want to be in that higher position that you dream to be, that you want to be. And that is when you can vibrate together with them. You can even agree upon them. In that agreement, that is what they call prayer, where you hold hands and say, okay, we are going to do this. Make plans to succeed and follow that plan and activate it with your mindset, believing you are going to get it. And that is where the importance of planning, the importance of goals, the importance of making elements that create your reality comes into play. I have thought about this. I've teach this in some other video, which is currently in my YouTube channel. So let me go ahead and explain to you further the magic of thinking big. Most people often don't get it. I'm going to break this very subject into the barest minimum comprehensive way possible. If you have been the person who is throwing money into piggy bank, I've explained that to you before. Now, if you want to see the mindset, you want to see the true power of your mind, decide not to make that savings again. Quit that savings. Quit some of those people who are literally not contributing mentally, who are not giving you a school of thought mentally on how to develop your financial life. Because, my friend, your finances is the proof of your worth. Your finances is the proof of your lifeline in this earth. So your financial capability shows how many bar. I want you to take your finances like the battery bar, the demarcations. If your money, if you have a full bar, there is a whole lot of miracle that's going to be happening into your life. Magical things. What I mean you have a full bar is when you have a lot of money in your account. There is a whole lot of things. I don't know if you have experienced it before. I have experienced it. When you start feeling that abundance, which we're talking about, which I teach you about, they will set a meal before you, and you won't even go quarrel, and you get satisfied. You will worry less. You will live freely. You will do whatever you want to do that makes you feel happy. You will not be distracted. But when you are low financially, that's why I say that is your lifeline, my dear. You will have a lot of mental torture. You will have a lot of emotional trauma that's going to be traumatizing you and creating setbacks in different things that you do. So stop that savings today. Break free from those kind of people who aren't contributing into your life positively, and make a decisive statement today. Start a new plan. What have you been doing? Have you been doing some sort of a business or working in a place where you are living from hand to mouth? You have to make a decision, a critical decision. And that decision has to be accompanied by belief. If you're someone who wants to own a car, a big car, expensive car, you have to believe logically that you can get it, that that car is yours. That's the first belief you want to have. When you have that belief, then the next question you're going to be having right there at the back of your mind is, what business will I do that's going to make me this money? If the current business which you're doing, you strongly believe that is going to make you that money at a spread of 10 months to get that car, then the next question that will come into your mind is, that is why we say the positivity, the magic of thinking big. The next question that will be puzzling right there in your mind dropping is, what must I do in this business in order to realize this goal within 10 months? And when you ask that question, no distraction, you will start getting answers. How to strategize in that business to be able to meet up with that goal which you have set for yourself. So it simply begins with a simple thought from you, and it will start activating once you believe and you start acting towards that direction. I want to tell you one more thing which you have maybe heard if you're a science student. The law of... Before we dive into that Newton law of motion, you should understand that everything about the universe is constantly in motion, in small indivisible particles, like your thoughts are constantly in motion. Each time that motion is altered, whether a new life is created or a new life is taken. Now, let's go into the Newton's law of motion, the first one, which actually said, every object will remain in a state of rest or continue in a straight form or continue in its motion until it's acted upon by a force, and automatically that object that is stagnant, that is not in motion, will move in accordance with the force that acted upon it, in proportional to the direction of the force that acted upon it. And if that object is in motion, and it's going to continue to be in motion or in a straight line direction until acted upon by a force. So if it's going forward in motion and a force acted upon it by the side from the right, it's going to be tilted to the left. It's going to move towards the left where the force of the force acting upon it is. I've forgotten the formula, but however, the formula is not necessarily important to this very discussion we have here. What is important here is the motion and the change of course when acted upon by a force. Even the Bible says the same thing, just in a different way, that be not conformed to the standard of this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Maybe I have said it in this video before. And what that means is simply telling you the power of your mind. You will remain where you are today. You will never get what you want. You will remain poor. You will remain broke until you decide to renew your mind by renewing your thought. I hope you can understand that when you change your concept of thinking, the pattern of your thinking, the pattern of your belief, it doesn't matter how many years ago which you started believing in it. Your life started taking a new direction, a new dimension, in a new course. It can be positive, it can be negative. It all depends on where you decide to focus on. It can be progressive and it can be retrogressive. It can be digression. It's all dependent on what you believe. If suppose you are someone who has been prospering in a certain business before or a certain job before, and your boss fired you, your income is going to suffer the consequences. So you start to backsliding from That is the force, that's the law of motion taking effect there. So in my own analogy, that is not a law of motion, but universe, the law of universe that takes cause and effect on everything, including a human being. And if suppose why in that very job of yours, for any reason you put in some efforts and making a lot of significant change and innovation to the establishment which you're working for, and they decide to promote you, your finances will change direction in accordance with the new instruction or promotion which you just received. So the same thing happens to our physical body. I want you to understand that the physical body, the flesh, the bones, the eyes, the ears, every part of your body are slave to your mind, because your mind is the commander. Your mind is where the thoughts that shape your entire body starts from. And you can manipulate this to get a lot of things that is non-functional to start working in your life. You can use this to resurrect any part of your life or business which you have abandoned before. If you don't know, you are the powerhouse, the power of everything, the life that sets things in motions, that sets the particles, molecules of things in your life in motion. And if you don't really believe it, if you are the only person living in a house, let's say a duplex, try abandoning the duplex for like 3 years and go back to that duplex and tell me what you're gonna see. You will see it looks so total, abandoned, and in ruin, like as if it has no life inside it anymore. And that is true because you are the life that powers up that house, even without knowing it. So your business, your financial aspiration, anything you set up your mind to do is entirely up to you to change course if you don't like it and have a new concept of thinking and belief, and your life will automatically restructure and take course in accordance with that new force of yours, which you acted upon. And that is why in this discussion, action is very, very important to activating or deactivating anything. Setting anything in motion requires an action. So it's not enough for you to believe. It's not enough for you to conceive in your heart. It's not enough for you to declare to yourself. You have to act. The mindset you decide to have today is what is going to determine where you are going to be 10 years from now. Each time you change it, your life will change. And the good thing is, there is no any amount of time which you'll be told that you can't undo it anymore, except until you lost your life. But so long as you have life, you can do and undo, you can agree and disagree. You can choose to aim big from today and stop looking at things that are small. And from there, your life will start structuring things, will start forming in the spiritual dimension in attempt to manifest that which you just implemented or activated in your life. So the whole thing starts from you. You start the vibration and you kill the vibration. You start the fight and you decide when it's gonna end. You decide who comes and go. You decide what stays and dies. You start and you end it. So it's all begins with you and it starts from your mind. And the last aspect which I'm going to be using to cap this off is try to move your leg without the consent of your mind. Try to do things thoughtlessly. There is no such thing as doing things thoughtlessly. People can not be thoughtful to some certain degree, but there is always an element of thought. The person might make a very swift action which you perceive to be thoughtless, but it wasn't well given thought, it wasn't thorough. Doesn't mean there was no thought associated with it, because once the neurons which your mind triggers concerning any certain part of your body stops receiving the signal of your mind from your mind, then that part stops to function. That is what it is. So in this video today, I believe you have known the power of your mind, that is the energy you can use to create, you can use to destroy, you can use to build, you can use to establish what has never been, you can use to invent, you can use to upgrade your lifestyle and make things better for your life and the world at large, including your community. And this differs from every other person because the enthusiasm, the fire, the flame, the desire which we have differs from one person to another.